The valedictorian for this ceremony is Mr. Tan Choon Guan Lawrence. He graduated with the degree of Bachelor of Engineering, Civil Engineering with honors of the highest distinction. Mr. Tan is a recipient of the Catherine Koh Siok Hoon Scholarship. He will now deliver his speech.
Being humble means recognizing we are not on earth to see how important we become, but to see the difference we can make in the lives of others. This was a quote by an American religious leader, the late Gordon Hinckley, that defines my 4 invaluable years in NUS. Good evening, Mr. Stephen Lee, NUS Pro-Chancellor, Prof. Tan Choon Guan, NUS President, Engineer Stephen Lim, Managing Director, PH Consulting Private Limited. Distinguished guests, fellow graduates, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an arduous journey, but we made it. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. It was not too long ago when we had entered NUS as freshies. Do you recall those days when we attended the 8 a.m. lectures? Do you recall the Fourier series or the Laplace transform? And along the way, we learned to skip the early morning lectures by watching the webcast instead. Before we know it, we came to our final year, where we were tormented by our design project and final year project, where some of us would visit the lab almost every day, while battling distractions from YouTube and Facebook. Before we know it, we had bittersweet memories at our graduation night dinner. And now, before we know it, we come to the end of one phase of our lives. However, now as we move forward from this phase of our life, we learn that a more daunting challenge lies ahead. In becoming adults and living lives beyond ourselves. As daunting as it may be, our time in NUS has prepared us well. Because I am certain that we have all matured and experienced some kind of transformation that will surely help us in what lies ahead. For myself, the transformation happened in 2015. I thought I had it all back then. I finally achieved a near-perfect GPA. My parents had gotten me a new car, and my relationship was turning out seemingly good. And just as I thought I had it all, I met a friend who asked me a question that changed my life. She asked, "What makes you happy?" And she meant the kind of happiness that leaves a warm, fuzzy feeling in our hearts. I was taken aback by the question, and I came to realize that I'd been chasing things my whole life. Trying to be on top, trying to be special, and trying to prove myself to everyone. This certainly does not define me, and since then, it has been a journey in finding happiness and the meaning of life. Through this journey, I've learned 3 important lessons. Firstly, to believe in ourselves. This is important because sometimes along our journey, we find people discouraging us. And they can even be the closest ones around us. During such times, it can be tempting to fall back on our old, comfortable selves, and things will just seem so much easier. But whenever we are being beaten down, we can, we should, and we must keep moving forward. Because who else is going to believe in us if we don't believe in ourselves? Secondly, to be humble. To be humble means to look at every situation and ask, what can I learn from the experience and do better? Because when we humble ourselves, we open up our hearts and our minds. More so when we become successful in our future careers as engineers or in other fields, then will we still be able to look at anyone and ask, what can I learn from him or her? Thirdly, to love. When our hearts are filled with love, we'd often perceive goodness in every person and any situation. With love, we'd often find ourselves celebrating our victories with those who matter at the end of our journeys. In the same way, let's give thanks to our families for their unwavering support that made this day possible, our devoted professors for their unwavering support and patiently mentoring us, our administrative staff who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes, and our friends for making university life awesome. Let's give them a big round of applause. On a personal note, I wish to thank my mentor, Prof. Bang Zitai, the man seated there with a smile. For being the most caring, supportive, and empowering professor one could ask for. My grandparents, Agong and Ama, who have raised me since birth and allow me to speak a few words in Mandarin to them. Agong Hama.谢谢你从小照顾我到大，我很感谢。My parents, for being the strongest people I've ever known, whom I've learned so much from. And last but not least, thank you, Rachel. My loving fiancé. For sharing my daily struggles and successes. Finally, with the 3 lessons in mind, to believe in ourselves, to be humble, and to love, I would like to conclude with the same question. What makes you happy? With that answered, we find our thoughts, our words, and actions becoming coherent. With that answered, we'll find our priorities in place. With that answered, we find what truly defines us and what lies ahead might not be so daunting after all. Class of 2017, it has been a brilliant 4 years in NUS. Moving forward, whatever happiness it is that you are chasing, keep believing, stay humble, and keep loving. I wish you all the best. Thank you.